भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता as it is, chapter 12, text 17. यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभ परित्यागी भक्तिमान यश मे प्रियः। यह one who never हृष्यति takes pleasure, never द्वेष्टि grieves, never शोचति laments, never काङ्क्षति desires, शुभ of the auspicious, ashubha and the inauspicious, परित्यागी renouncer, भक्तिमान devotee, यह one who, सह he is, मे to me, प्रियः dear. Translation. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. Please repeat. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor he is very much anxious to get a son or disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्विताश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I humbly seek all of your blessings to share my understandings from this verse, as I heard from different devotees and from my spiritual master. So, as we know that there are 3 sections in this chapter 12, 1 to 7. The first section, that is the Krishna already explained who is better, personalist or impersonalist. Then the progressive of bhakti explained from 8 to 12, that the super excellence of bhakti. And 13 to 20 is the section Krishna explains who is that personalist, who is that devotee, who is dear to him, and he is explaining different qualities. So we have already discussed many qualities. So today we are going to discuss a devotee who is having these qualities. So question comes here, why Krishna is speaking that bhaktimana same priyaha, such devotee is very dear to me. He is not telling materialist, he is telling bhaktimana. Bhaktimana means who is engaged in devotional service, bhakta. So bhakta means he has bhakti. Without bhakti we cannot call him as a bhakta. And when there is bhakti and there is a bhakta, that means that devotion will be for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. So bhakti, bhakta and Bhagavan. So those bhaktas who has loving devotion, and automatically devotional qualities manifest, and definitely they are very dear to Krishna. So Krishna says that it is not that this American is dear to me, or Indian dear to me, or Chinese dear to me. It does not matter whether he is in Indian or American or European or Chinese. It does not. He has already explained in Bhagavatam. Kirat, Hunandra, Pulanda, Pultisa, Avira, Sambhu, Yavana, Khasadaya, Yanya cha Papa, Yat Apasraya Sraya, Tasmai Prabhave Sri Prabhave Vishnu Namah. So he is telling it does not matter whether he can be a Tirata, Huna or Andhra or whatever he may be. But those who have taken shelter at the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically they are become devotees, and automatically those qualities will manifest in his heart. So he is telling that bhakta is very dear to me, who is cultivating these qualities. Now question comes, these qualities also materialists also develop. It does not that only devotees can cultivate these qualities, but materialists also, we have seen in the material world that many people will be neutral to happiness, distress. They don't worried about auspiciousness or inauspiciousness. Even if something gone, they don't worry. How it happens? Because they are governed by 3 modes of material nature. Some are governing the modes of goodness, some are mode of passion, some are mode of ignorance. So according the nature how they attack, accordingly they react. So the question comes here, why Krishna speaks that those devotees who cultivate these qualities dear to me? Why not materialist? Because we have seen the materialistic people, and also we have experienced these things in our life. So happiness, Srishyati, they experience happiness, they overwhelmed with joy. How suppose, because this is our life, from birth to death there is a journey, and in this journey there will be so many occasions, there will be so many situations, there will be so many circumstances, we have to go through it. Birth will be there. When there is a birth of a child, that family is very happy. There will be marriages, there will be so many functions, somebody gets constructing a house, big building, or somebody gets promotion, somebody gets a bonus. So definitely there will be happiness. People will experience happiness. But that happiness, how they see, mode of a person who is in the mode of goodness, he sees differently. A person is a mode of passion, he sees differently, and a person mode of ignorance, he sees differently. Like I can give an example. Recently, one of my friends, he married his daughter, and he called me that would you like to come? I told no, I am little busy, I cannot come. So after his daughter's marriage was over, he called me that it was a very nice marriage ceremony function. What happened? And yes, everybody came and all, and I gave them a feast with non-veg and killed 20 goats. I was completely shocked. Such an educated person, and he was happy. He does not have a tinge of dissatisfaction in his heart that he has killed 20 goats. So I was feeling very grateful to Srila Prabhupada that by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his devotee I am saved. Otherwise I will have same reaction. So that is the mode of their happiness. They kill the animals and think they are the happy. And they will give liquors, wines and so many things, and when marriage will be there, so many people will come and dance. So many ways they will do. So can we call that is happiness? Same way distress. When there is a death of somebody, or somebody loses, somebody having accident, or there is suppose fire in the house, so there is a distress. So materialist, same person, when he is happy in a particular situation, at the next moment he is completely filled with distress. So that's why Bhagavatam says, Yasasti bhaktira bhagavati akinchana sarver gunestatra samasate sura hara abhaktasya kuto mahat guna manorathena sati dhavato bhavi. It's telling those who are devotees, they are manifested with all transcendental qualities, just like demigods have those beautiful qualities. But hara abhaktasya kuto mahat guna. Where is the good qualities in non-devotee? Why? Because manorathena asati dhavato bhavi. They are completely driven by their mind chariot. Mind says, today I want to do this, I will do. I will manifest some nice qualities. Tomorrow modes of matter will attack him and he will completely reverse. So that's why I call they are asati. Asati means unchaste. Whereas the devotees, they are chaste, because they are completely focused to the Supreme Personality of God. That is the reason why Krishna is telling that Bhakta is very dear to me, because his focus is completely towards me. So that's why this scriptures guides us, that there will be circumstances, there will be situations where we will be tempted, where we will be bewildered, what we should do. So there is a very nice story in Srimad Bhagavatam, all of you must know, but we can discuss little bit about Harsha Soka, that King Chitraketu. King Chitraketu was the king, and he was very aristocratic life. He has a very nice kingdom, everybody was happy and satisfied. Somehow or other he was not happy, because he didn't have son. So he married one queen after like 10 million wives he married. Still he could not get a son. and he was completely dejected. What is this? I am not lacking anything, but I want a son, and somehow or other I am not getting it. And he was completely frustrated. So by that time, Angira Muni came. And Angira Muni, when he came, that King Chitraketu served him very nicely. Then Angira Muni could clearly see, because face is the index of the heart. So when he saw Chitraketu, he could see that there is some disappointment in his heart. Then he asked, "My dear King Chitraketu, what happened to you? Why you are looking like very desperate?" Then King Chitraketu told that, "What I will say, you know my situation. I tried my best, but I don't have a son at all." So that time, Angira could have given transcendental knowledge, but he didn't give knowingly, because at this moment if he tells something, he may not accept it. So he told, "Okay, no problem." So he performed a sacrifice. Then they got some sweet rice, and he told that you give it to your wife, the first wife, is Krita Duti. And Krita Duti took it, and she became pregnant. And after some time, the child was born, and his name was Harsashoka. And that time, Angira told that you want a son, but that son will be the cause of your jubilation and lamentation. So King Chitraketu thought, okay, what is the problem? Because this is a life, there is happiness, there is distress. Must be he is saying something, so it does not matter. So what happens now? When the son born, King Chitraketu was overwhelmed with the happiness. Just like our materialists, they do whatever they like. So he immediately gave so many charity, like cows, horses, elephants, so many villages. Everything was given. It was like just like the cloud pours rain. He was so generous. He gives different charity to different people. So what happens then? After some time, this king was completely attached to Krita Duti and the son Harsashoka. He forgot all other queens. That those queens become very envious, and they plan and administered poison to the child. Harsashoka died. When this message Chitraketu heard, was completely mad. Same Chitraketu, who was very happy, and the next moment he was completely devastated in his heart. He could not speak a word. Tears flowed from his eyes. He was completely shaking, not able to stand, fall like anything. And when Krita Duti saw all these things, he started also crying, and the whole atmosphere surcharged with lamentation, all these things. Then that time, Angira Muni came with Narada. And Narada asked, "What happened to you, King Chitraketu?" He told, "This is what happened, that the boy is dead." Then Narada told, "What happens? This body lying there. You may be thinking that you have produced this body. Now the same body is lying. What is that? What is the problem with you?" He told, No. He is not alive now. He is dead." Then Narada started giving instruction that the body which you are seeing in front of your eyes, what relationship you have with him? You didn't have any relationship in the past, At present also you don't have that relationship, and future also you will not have any relationship with him. So why you are so lamented for this? No. He could not understand at all. Narada Muni tried to give. Then he told, okay, if you are thinking that this body is yours, you take this body. But the soul which has entered to that body, you have not entered that soul. You just produce the body. That body is activated by the soul, and the soul does not belong to you. That soul belongs to the Supreme Lord. So try to understand this. When he understood this, then he spiritually enlivened. Then he sprinkled some water, and Harsashoka got up and he told, please go to your father. Harsashoka started teaching. Who is my father? I have so many births. Sometimes I have a cat father, sometimes I have a dog father, sometimes this, sometimes that. He does not belong to me. Then Chitraketu understood. Narada Muni also started speaking the Bhagavad Gita verses. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit, na bhutva, na bhavita va na bhuya, ajo nitya sasvatayam purano, na hanyate hanyavanisari. That you are grieving for the body. You are not conscious of the soul which is driving the body. And that soul is eternal. So that is what Narada Muni explained to King Chitraketu. And Chitraketu understood, yes. So same way, these experiences we are also experiencing in this material world. There will be happiness, there will be distress. So just by reading this verse, we may not able to cultivate these qualities. So we have to understand what is the philosophy behind it, what is the scriptural support, what is the spiritual knowledge that we have to practice. So practical application is there, philosophical understanding is there, and our connection with Krishna should be there. Otherwise, very difficult to cultivate these qualities. So that's why I am telling, you na hrusyati na dveshti, one who neither rejoices nor grieves. Only a person who is strongly connected with Krishna, he will understand this happiness and this distress are temporary in this material world. He will understand the temporary nature of this material world. And he knows that I am an eternal servant of Krishna. Jiver Swarupae Krishnara Nityadas. And his duty is to serve Krishna. So there is no question of obstacles in his life, what Prabhupada explains. There is no impediment in devotee's life to serve Krishna. Sometimes materialists say, okay, when they are happy, they forget God. When they are distressed, immediately they will come to God. But a devotee is not worried. Whether it is happiness or distress, it does not matter. Like Srivas Thakur. Every night, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to Srivas Thakur's house, and whole night it will go for Sankirtan. And everybody was happy. Because if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu happy, everybody is happy. If he is saying little sadness, then everybody will sad. So whole night will be going with Kirtan, Sankirtan. So one night what happens? While dancing, immediately Srivas Thakur heard some crying voice. So immediately he went to the other house and he saw his son was dead and his wife and relatives, everybody is crying. Then Srivas Thakur told, don't cry. Our son is very fortunate because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in our house, he is dancing, Sankirtan is going on, our son has left the body, definitely he is going back to Godhead. is going to spiritual world. Nobody should cry. But somehow they could not control. They started crying. But it was the, if you cry, then I will commit suicide. And then he come and joined the kirtan. Whole night was going on kirtan. Srivas Thakur does not have a little tinge of sadness in his face. While morning approached, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked at Srivas Thakur. He told that I am feeling some sadness in this house. Srivas Thakur told, no, how sadness can be present in this house when your this moon-like lotus face is here and this whole atmosphere is surcharged with Sankirtan? How you are feeling there will be sadness? Then some other devotee told, no, yesterday night his son has left the body. Immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was shocked. This joy of tears rolled down from his eyes, and he was telling, Srivas, I am so fortunate to have a person like this. Because you are not little bit sad also, your son has left this body. Who can be more fortunate than me to have association with you? So that is the devotee's life. It does not matter. Whole world may turn into ashes. Whatever happens, it does not matter. My relationship with Krishna should be very fixed. I want Krishna's happiness. I don't want anything else. If my Krishna is happy, I am happy. Like another story, when Krishna was having headache, and Narada Muni passes by him and he was telling, Krishna, you are looking very sad. He told, I am having headache. You are having headache? Yes, I am having headache. Told that how you will be cured? No, I want some dust from my devotees. Then Narada Muni thought, how somebody can give the dust from their feet? And he asked different people, different demigods and all this. Nobody is ready to give it. He told that how we will give our dust from our feet to Krishna and he will put on his head. It will go to hell. So he immediately came to Vrindavan and saw the gopis and asked, my dear gopis, your Krishna is having headache. Krishna is having headache. What we should do, please tell. Now he wants the dust of your lotus feet, of your feet. Immediately they collected all dust and gave it. Narada Muni asked, do you know what is the result? What is the consequence? What will be the consequence? You will go to hell. It does not matter. We may go to hell, we may go to heaven, we go anywhere. Our Krishna should be happy and satisfied. That is our goal. So same way, a devotee always thinks, how my Krishna will be happy? How I can give some happiness to Krishna? That is the devotee's consciousness. So when that devotee consciousness, where is the question of happiness and distress? Situation is temporary. It will come, it will go. Tasaiva heto prayote to govido nalabhyate ta brahmatam uparyadda talabhyate dukkhavat anyatah sukham kalena sarvatra gaviraram masa. Those who are philosophically inclined and intelligent, tasaiva heto prayote to govido nalabhyate ta brahmatam, they don't want anything from the bottommost planet to topmost planet. What they want only Krishna. Because ta labhyate dukkhavat anyatah sukham kalena sarvatra gavira masa, by the force of time, this happiness will come, this misery will come, they will appear, they will disappear. We need not to worry about at all. That's why Krishna gives the practicing devotees tolerate. Matra sparses tu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino anityas. These are anityas. These are temporary. Tans pratyaksha bharata. Tolerate it. But devotee, they don't experience. Because they are so completely absorbed in Krishna's service, they don't know anything at all. So that is what they never rejoices happiness, neither they experience grief. Rather than even the same death suppose happens in the materialist, people will cry, roll down, tears will come, but where devotee will left body, devotee will dance. Our devotee has gone back to Godhead because they know that those are devotees, who have sacrificed their life for Krishna, Krishna will never forget. We may forget Krishna, but Krishna will never forget us. So that is the sweet reciprocation between Krishna and his devotees. That's why he is telling that those devotees who have sacrificed everything for me, how I can forget? They are dear to me. No sochati, no kankshati. No sochati, no kankshati. They never lament for anything, they never hanker for anything. No sochati, no kankshati. Sochati means I have nothing, suppose I want to have something. Hankering for material gain, material prosperity. They don't hanker. Devotees, they are not worried at all. No sochati. They don't have a tinge of desire. That's why Rupa Goswami says, the devotees, Anya Abhilasita Sunyam. They don't have any abhilas. Other than only one abhilas, I want to serve Krishna. Then what is the question of desire? Only his desire to serve Krishna. No sochati, no kankshati. He does not lament. Because he does not have anything. So whatever comes or goes, it's because it is Krishna. Whatever Krishna giving, I am using in his service. Whatever he takes, no problem. We have seen Srila Prabhupada's life. Throughout his life, he is always happy and satisfied, completely undisturbed. His business fails, no problem. Bhagavad Gita printing time, he has faced many problems, no problem. In time, everything will happen. Whatever Krishna desires, it will happen. A very nice Chinese story that there is a Chinese farmer. Recently I heard from my spiritual master. So there is a Chinese farmer, and farmer means they require horses, bulls, that to cultivate the land. So while once he was going to forest and he got one black horse, and he brought with him, and in the village all villagers were very happy to see this, and he told that you are very happy, you are very fortunate. He told that fortunate, unfortunate, who knows, everything happens by God's grace. So after some time that horse ran away. Then same villagers came, you are very unfortunate. Fortunate, unfortunate, who knows, everything happens by God's grace. Again after some time that black horse brought another 7 horses. So again those villagers told, okay, you are now very, 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 very fortunate. So I told that fortunate, unfortunate, who knows, everything happens God's grace. So after some time what happens, that his son was riding over the horse, and somehow horse kicked him and he fell down, he got accident, and he was completely handicapped. The villagers came, started showing some sympathy. You become very unfortunate, your son has become handicapped. They told it's very inauspicious. He told that auspicious, inauspicious, who knows, everything God's grace. After some time the war was declared, and the king told that all the villagers, means who are the young, strong and stout, they have to go and attend the war. So everybody gone, and this son was handicapped, so he cannot do anything, he was stayed. And in the war all these people were killed. So that was the story, that we don't know what is auspicious, what is inauspicious, because these both auspicious and inauspicious things binds us in this material world. Auspicious things means, when auspicious means we are thinking that we are happy. Inauspicious means something we lose or something is coming to, we are going to experience some unhappiness. So both dukkha and sukha, both auspicious, inauspicious things binds us in this material world. And the devotee is completely aware of these things, that I don't want to be bound in this material world. So that's why Krishna gives intelligence, that what to do, what not to do. So for a devotee, nothing is auspicious, inauspicious, because he knows that now this is a completely open thing that everybody can understand. It's surprise that materialists, they don't understand. Of course, only by the mercy of Guru and Krishna we can understand these things. We have completely, when we came to this material world, completely came naked. And when we leave this world, we will also go naked. But during this time we are thinking, this is mine, that is mine, this wealth is mine, I want to enjoy, I want to suffer. It's a completely madness. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yat indriya pritaya apnoti na sadhu manye yat atmanayam asanna api klesa asana. Those are sadhus. They don't indulge in sense gratification to experience happiness, because they know asanna api klesa asadeya. This is always, this material world is itself inauspicious. And in inauspicious, how will find auspiciousness? That they don't understand this. Everything is inauspicious because we are getting so many miseries: birth, death, old age, disease, admantika klesa, adibhautika klesa, adidabhika klesa. We are completely rotting with 6 bad qualities: kama, krodha, lobha, moha, madha, matsarya. How we can think that something is auspicious, something is inauspicious? The same person. One side you are doing marriage ceremony, you are thinking that this is very auspicious work, everything should be done nicely. On the other side, you are killing animals and feeding the people. It's completely ignorance. How we can be dear to Krishna? That's why Krishna says, Bhaktimana ya sa me priya. That those devotees who cultivate these qualities, they are very dear to me. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Nothing is an obstacles. No obstacles in the path of his devotional service. Why? Because he has taken full shelter of Krishna. He knows that Krishna will protect me in every situation. He has that confidence. He has that conviction. Avasya rakhibe Krishna. So if somebody is very confident, where is the question of obstacles? If obstacles comes, it is Krishna's obstacles. So Krishna will help me. So we are thinking that this is my father, this is my mother, this is my child. This is completely illusion. This is the play of illusory energy of Krishna, that is Maya. And by the mercy of Krishna, a devotee understands his constitutional position, and he knows who is he, who is Krishna, and what is his relationship, and what he should do so that Krishna will be pleased. That is the reason why he has to cultivate qualities, because if I cultivate qualities, Krishna will be pleased. That is the reason. Because any service, suppose our Krishna Balaram temple, Krishna Balaram, Gaur Nitai and Radha Krishna, their service is required. Anybody and everybody cannot do the service. So I have to cultivate that Brahmanical qualities so that I can serve them. And when we serve, Krishna will be pleased. So that is the reason why Krishna is telling that they are very dear to me. They will come closer to me by their qualities. Okay, so this is little understanding from my side, and I request if you can share something. That will be Very nice comments.
This, sorry, in the end you said this Brahmanical quality. So Krishna specially looks for the Brahmanical qualities of the devotee.
No. That Brahmanical qualities, actually a devotee is completely free from all varna and ashram. Brahmanical quality means what? Sama, dhamma, tapa, saucham, shantira, arjavam, evacha, jnana, vijnana, astikam, brahma, karma, svabhajam. A Brahmana works with these qualities. Sama, peacefulness, tapa, austerity, dhamma, self-control. These are the qualities of a Brahmana. These Brahmanical qualities are required to serve, to do the deity worship. But the devotee is beyond this thing, beyond Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Like 14th chapter, 26th verse, Krishna says, Yo ma avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samititan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Those who are devotees, they are beyond the modes of material nature. Understand? So devotee can function in Brahmanical position, he can function in Kshatriya position, he can serve as a this thing, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So there is no problem. But Krishna gives these qualities. These are the different qualities. And Chaitanya Charitamrita we have seen 26 qualities of a devotee. Okay. So these are the, to serve Krishna, these Brahmanical qualities are required. So that's why I told that a devotee should cultivate qualities. Yeah, he has to, for the devotional upliftment.
Excellent class.
Thank you.
To do this, I have 3 points to say. And so, first is we know that South India, that devotee who was reading Bhagavad Gita upside down. So we can understand that people who are not educated, they will not be having very refined qualities also. So still Krishna is pleased. Second, you can just comment later on. Second is that it says Shubha Shubh Parityagi, auspicious and inauspicious both, it pronounces. But in ISKCON and our Vedic literature, that every time we pass school, we take bath. Yeah. So sometimes we have to take too many baths also. ISKCON has become famous and in Delhi, that they are always taking bath. Okay, but actually Maharaj Yudhishthir says, when he is answering Yaksha, he says real ablution is to cleanse the mind of all impurities, not just the external part. Simple. So you can just comment on that. Third is regarding, you said your brother's marriage.
Friends marriage.
Brother's friend's marriage.
My friends marriage.
So they killed goats. So sometimes it's a controversy between outside people, religious and irreligious people, whether egg is a vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Of course, in ISKCON it is banned, eggs, but still you can just throw a little light around it.
Okay. So, you made the first point that auspiciousness and inauspiciousness, taking external cleanliness and internal cleanliness. So one thing is that four pillars of dharma. What are the four pillars of dharma? Truthfulness, austerity, cleanliness and mercy. So one pillar is cleanliness. So cleanliness means external clean as well as also internal clean. So internal cleanness is coming through chanting, hearing scriptures, discussing Krishna Katha, our hearts purified. Srunatam Sokata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridiyantastaya Vadrani Vidunoti Surja. That is internal. And this body is material body. You have to maintain it. So without cleanness, you will be affected. There will be so many diseases and so many things. So that is required. So external cleanness. That's why a devotee should externally and internally clean. So it's mandatory, because suppose we are going to serve very important person. So we should have that quality to go to near him. And if he is clean and we are unclean, how he will feel? And what will be our own feelings? So definitely we should externally clean as well as internally clean. And this egg things and all, this is a common sense, that what the egg is the seed which produces a jiva, and the jiva means you are killing before him. So that's
Fetus.
you are killing that. So that's why they are in the, even if you go to any hospital, they are writing that to diagnosis before the pregnancies, you cannot do that. All this they are writing. Why? Because they know that they are killing the child. So definitely everybody knows it, but they don't want to take that austerity, or they are in the completely ignorance. So that's why they are doing those things. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.